Oh, hi. I guess we're gonna do this. All right, so this is me doing something completely different that I have no honest idea. I don't understand what it is that I'm doing. So this is going to be the first attempt that I take on doing something more than what my homework is initially asking of me. Welcome to Easy Education. I'm Easy to Chris. I'm here to hopefully help make learning easy for you. That was weird, right? Yeah, it's like this is kind of an intro thing that I'm trying to play out with. And the reason being is this week in education, homeschooled education, adult education brought to you by the wonderful powers of artificial intelligence. It's week 4, and we covered James Clear's Atomic Habits, went through chapters 4 through 7. And the theme of this week was identity and consistency. Now, chapters 4 through 7 really talk about cues. Not the letters, but those kind of invisible markers. The things that help you recognize what it is that you need to be able to do. So for me specifically, what I'm talking about is the cues of setting up the headspace of what it is that you're about to occupy. Now, this, if you notice, if you're watching the video, is better quality video. There's a microphone. Yeah, I know, it's weird, right? Like, I'm not just using my phone, and it's not just some social media video, and I'm not using my webcam. I actually have the entire Sony a7S III set up with my wide-angle lens and my wireless microphone, and I'm trying to do the thing that I told myself 3-4 years ago that I was actually gonna do. So here's kind of the thought process on it. I need positive cues in life. And one of the things that Atomic Habits really does talk about is if you really do want to make good habits and change to be the person that you want to be, you need to have an identity change. I think one of the best examples that I can say is I knew that I wanted to quit smoking by the time that I was 40. And that was always kind of an abstract goal, but I thought, I quit when I'm 40. I'll quit when I'm 40. And it was a couple of weeks before I turned 39 when I realized, well, I don't necessarily want to quit when I'm 40 because then I'm going to just have to react to trying to quit. And then it's going to be hard for me to quit at 40. I should actually probably be done smoking by 40. And that means that I need to quit smoking by the time that I'm 39. So I changed my identity, and I changed the idea of who it is that I needed to be at 39 to prepare myself for 40. And I'm happy to say it's been 6 months since I smoked last, which is a pretty big accomplishment for me personally. When I quit drinking, it was another identity change that I had to have. It used to be that I was trying to quit drinking just because, maybe I'm a little bit excessive. And then one night we found out that my alcohol consumption triggered low blood pressure, and I initiated a seizure. I broke my face wide open. It was no longer maybe I'm drinking a little bit too much, but I could actually have some real medical problems if I drink, so I'm just going to quit drinking because I don't want to do that to my family. And it's been over 5 years since my last drink. So these identity changes are the things that I've been able to have that have created the most success in the habits becoming the person that I actually want to become. Now, why does this matter with, better camera quality and a microphone? Well, my homework requires me to make videos, and I have been going through the path of least resistance any opportunity that I have. I use my phone because my phone is available. I use my webcam because my webcam is available. Meanwhile, I have a Sony a7S III that I bought specifically for video content years ago, and the bulk of what I use it for is taking pictures of birds at the park. because I am that middle-aged guy who's in his birding phase, so no judgment whatsoever. But the reality came to me that if I bought all of this gear, I have a wide-angle lens, I have a portrait lens, I have a telephoto lens. If I bought all of these things to be able to get into video content and I'm not making videos, why do I have it? And ultimately I realized because it's hard. It's hard standing alone in a room looking at this side of the lens. Usually I'm on the other side of it. Usually I'm hiding behind the camera, and if I'm at an event, it is the greatest way to slip into a crowd completely unnoticed, is just I can hide behind it. But I want to be comfortable making content like this, which is the whole purpose of the education that I'm doing this year. When I developed this curriculum for 2026 to learn the things that I want to learn, it was all about storytelling, and I wanted to be better at writing. So my homework every week is to read, write, edit, make a video. And the week's final assignment is to answer the question, what did you learn speaking something out loud that you didn't realize when you had initially written down your essay? It's all about educating others on what the benefits are. And setting this camera up is a cue. And the cue is a simple act of just putting this tripod up and being on this side of the camera. It also has to do with the intro. And let me explain that for just kind of a second. My dad and I had a podcast that we ran this last year called the Supper Talk Podcast. And without even thinking about it, I can tell you exactly what the Supper Talk Podcast is. Because here at the Supper Talk Podcast, we have all those dinner time conversations that no one really wants to have with their family. My dad, Steve, he's a baby boomer and a Catholic, so he sees the world from one perspective, and I'm a progressive millennial, so I see it in another way. But we come together once a week and we have all those difficult conversations about the world that surrounds us and how our views are shaped by our experiences. We're not trying to get each other to come to our side of the aisle. We're just simply trying to understand why the other is where they're at. Now, all of that became very easy for me because the intro of that podcast was, "Welcome to the Supper Talk Podcast, where we have all those dinner time conversations where nobody wants to have." That sentence was a cue for me to get into that headspace and start talking seriously about topics that I wanted to be able to talk with my dad about. And the last couple of videos that I have done for my homework, I've been trying to figure out, what do I actually want this to be? And even last week's video, it starts with me just kind of frustrated because I don't know how to have an intro. So this week I realized I need to take this a little bit more seriously. I need to set up these cues that are positive cues for myself, so that way it's homework, but it's beneficial homework for the lesson that I'm actually trying to get out of my education, which is storytelling, video production, putting out better quality content on a consistent basis, and being more comfortable in front of a camera like this. So I set up the Easy Education as a podcast on Spotify. And I'm going to be posting these on a regular basis now, as opposed to just having them on YouTube, which I think is a win to begin with. But once I got the podcast set up, I realized I need to have an intro. And it's catchy, it's stupid, it's kind of cliche, but at the same time, it's the cue that my mind needs in order for me to be able to take this time seriously and recognize this is what I'm here for. Get in the game. Welcome to Easy Education. I'm Easy to Chris, and I'm here to make learning easy for you. That in itself is a switch in my brain that helps me understand this is going to be a good time and I'm going to learn something from this. Now, I'll give you a different example of another cue that was in my life this week specifically. I use a workout app called Gymverse. I've been using it for about 2.5 months now. I love it. I absolutely love it. The thing that I enjoy about it is I set up what it is that my goals are. It knows what kind of equipment I have. It knows what I'm focusing on. It shows me all of the progress that I've been making. And most importantly, I get to choose my own audio. So if I want to listen to a podcast, I can do that. If I want to listen to music, I can do that. But I kind of am just told what to do, and then I'm allowed to do it the way that I want to do it. I've done 2 6-week strength training programs back to back, and I just decided I wanted to take a week off to be able to do some core and cardio. So I moved over to Apple Fitness Plus, and I love Fitness Plus. Please don't misunderstand anything that I'm about to say, because I started using Fitness Plus as a really fantastic way to start getting me motivated when I first started working out. And the thing about Fitness Plus is it's just a little bit different. You don't have the ability for it to say like, well, if this is what you're doing today. You kind of have to browse through a catalog of what it is that you want to do. And then you have to figure out which instructor you want and how much rah-rah energy you want that day. And then you also have to make sure that you're finding one that has a soundtrack that's kind of geared to what you want. Like, do you want today's top hits? Do you want rock? Do you want hip hop? But then you're not really going to know what the music is until you're in it. Another thing is they're kind of high intensity workouts, and they don't give you a whole lot of time for rest in between. So you get a lot of working out in a short amount of time, but it gasses you pretty quick. You know, going from all of this, you are the master of your own program, into we have this set up for you, it's 2 different cues in my mind. I'm a lot more motivated with the autonomy that Gymverse gives me, even though the workouts in Fitness Plus are great. But this last week when I was using my Fitness Plus app, I just noticed myself taking about 10 to 15 minutes, kind of dragging my feet, figuring out which, maybe I'm going to do this today. And then as soon as the music just became less than what I wanted to hear, I found my headspace just kind of drifting off into somewhere else. So this week, I went back and I'm starting a new strength training program. And on Monday, this is what you're doing. This is how many reps you're doing it at. Cool, let's get into it. Podcast, go. And the cues were there that told me it's time to work, and it's time to work the way that you want to work. And it was a very positive thing for me. I'm trying very hard to make opportunities exist where all of the cues in my life are positive cues that set me up for success in being the person that I want to be. That's the takeaway that I got from these chapters in Atomic Habits is there are no positive or negative cues. There's simply productive and unproductive cues that will allow you to shape the behavior of the person that you want to become. And if they're productive, great, keep doing them. But if they're not productive, how can you shift those to be more productive? Is it the environment that you need to change? Is it the time that you need to change? And I want to set the camera up while I've got the room the way that it is, because now I'm going to respect this space a little bit differently. And arguably, I think that I'll make better content for you guys. That really is the goal, is I'm doing this homework for myself, but I do have goals to be able to make better content on a consistent basis and not be intimidated by the tools that I have. The reason that I've been taking pictures of birds as often as I have is because it's a lot easier to hit the shutter button than set up microphones and set up all the lighting and be able to figure out what it is that you want to say, when the fact of the matter is, I know how to do all these things. I've just never seen myself as somebody capable of doing them, and that needs to change. And the first change is actually setting up the cues that allow me to get into that headspace. So that's kind of what I took away this week from chapters 4 through 7 of James Clear's Atomic Habits. Next week is week 5 of the 52-week curriculum. I think it's actually a lot less than 52 weeks. I think it's like 44, 46. I don't know. It's somewhere in here. But next week, we are going to be covering Albert Camus's The Myth of Sisyphus, which I have no idea what it says. I know about Sisyphus, and I know, whoops, well, that book just went away. I'm aware of the myth of Sisyphus, but I don't know of Albert Camus's The Myth of Sisyphus. And we'll just be covering the first 30 pages. The lens that we'll be reading it through, and by we, I mean myself, collectively, me, myself, and I. There's not many of me, but maybe we, like you and me, is confrontation with discomfort rather than escape. The writing focus for my essay next week will be why difficulty is not a design flaw, and the overall focus of the week is going to be the role of suffering and growth. I'm actually kind of excited to learn whatever lessons come up next week, because I do believe in a lot of Stoicism and the lessons of Stoic philosophy. I genuinely do believe the hard way is the correct path, and the treachery on the road that you travel is what helps shape the person that you become at your destination. So being able to put that into practice this week, I'm not going to say exactly how hard it was, but believe me when I say I was very intimidated setting up the camera and getting on this side of the lens, but I hope good things come out of it. If you guys want to follow all of the things that are going on with the homework of the program that I created for myself, you can follow me on Substack. It's Easy to Chris, or you can read the essays that I write on my website, easytochris.com. If you're following me on TikTok, I do live streams on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So if you can catch me on one of those, you'll be able to ask me questions about how I do AI prompts and, what are some ways that you can use artificial intelligence to be more effective with yourself and be able to kind of mine things out of your own brain. But I will be putting this on Spotify now, so if you guys want to follow the podcast Easy Education and share it with your friends, I would be stoked to see that happen. I'd be genuinely excited. And if there's anything that you want to be able to learn or see about me covering on the show, leave some comments. I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts are. In the meantime, thanks so much for week 4 of Easy Education. Until next time, take it easy.